Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of The Other Side of Addiction. I am your host, Al Richards, and today I'm sitting here with an incredible guest that I've been trying to get on the show for a while. However, sometimes our schedules just kind of make things a little difficult, but we made it happen. We've got Jay Malaue with us today, and we are going to be talking about conquering the mountain. And for those of us who have gone through recovery and for those that are just starting their journey in recovery, that mountain can look pretty freaking high, right? It could almost look impossible to climb. However, it's possible because there are thousands of people out there that have done it. And I know any one of you can do it as well. Jay, thank you so much for being on the show today, man. And thank you again for reaching out to me because we had you scheduled quite a few months ago and some life things happened. And I have to apologize because I usually keep pretty good record to follow up on people, and life's been nuts for me as well. And thank you so much for getting back with me and going, hey, man, I'm ready. I'd love to be on your show.
Yeah. Thanks, Al, for giving me this opportunity to speak to somebody or everybody. Like, this means a lot to me. Recovery. It means a lot to the people that I surround myself with now. To see me doing something to give back, and we all have a voice, man, and it needs to be spoken more. It needs to be heard more, so that way we can maybe curve some of this stuff that goes on. That's hurting us to try to recover and make a new life. So, but this is a good start for me. I'm very excited to be here and be a part of it. So let's get to it, man.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to have you as well. And you nailed it, Jay. To be able to use your voice, right? Neither one of us have no idea who will be impacted by this podcast. Somebody out there needs to hear this message that you're going to share today. And man, you've gone through a lot. I mean, you have only been in recovery really for a short time, if I'm not mistaken, and yet you're already out there changing the world, right? Not your world. You're wanting to get out there and help other people, because before the show you said it's not all about me anymore, Al, right?
Right.
It's more of what can you do to get out there and help other individuals in their journey.
Yeah, for sure. It's for me, it's the biggest thing for me. It's that connection, that everything. It's coming at people with love and understanding and caring and giving somebody some type of support, whether you can do it, whether the situation's right and you can give them all the support in the world, or you have to take a step back and give them that, hey, how you doing support, like,
Yeah.
it just depends. So and I feel, yeah, I got 2 years of my drug of choice, so like I'm out there putting in the work and making an impact, and I do it daily, and now I get to do it here. So I'm very grateful, very grateful to have this chance to do it and keep going, And I think the thing that I would like to definitely start off with is give the audience a background on me, So,
Okay, let's do it.
so obviously, like, I got into drugs later, like hardcore drugs, like probably around 25, 26. But before that, I was drinking heavy, from the age of probably 19 to 26, like on a daily basis. And I always just drank to kind of numb myself. I'd always kind of do this to help or whatever I thought was helping, and it wasn't, and I, I, I couldn't get it. So then eventually, like, I couldn't get that. You can't do that to yourself, no matter what the substance is. And eventually, like, I just transitioned to a bigger, harder drug to try to numb and cope. And so I went to meth, and that was not the worst thing I could possibly do, because it was just not. It's not for anyone. I don't care what anyone says,
Yeah.
whether it makes you get up or not. And so I started using. I was hanging out with definitely the wrong people, and One of them at the time was my best friend, and we had a disagreement down the road, and we got in a fight over my girlfriend at the time. We got in a fight. 2 weeks later, he had gotten two people with guns to come and try to either kick me out or kill me. So they come to my actual bedroom door. I'm all by myself. They knock on the door, and then the next thing you know, I got two guns in my face.
Holy
And
crap.
yeah, and so the next thing I know, like everything kicks in, my fight kicks in, the adrenaline kicks in, and I'm just fighting back. And then they start shooting at me. And then I'm still fighting back. They hadn't shot me yet. And there's two guys with two guns, and I'm just fighting back and fighting back. And finally, I end up hitting one of them with a lamp, and he kind of like runs down the hallway. And so it gives me a chance to get out of the bedroom. And I'm looking around, and at the time I was doing bad. So I had a gun, I had this, and I couldn't find any of that stuff to fight back. So I found a sword on the wall that was like a display thing, but it was a legit one.
Yeah.
It was sharp. So I looked at that and I just said, that's it. This is all you got. And I grabbed it and I come stomping out of the room. And this is a split entry house. So we're in the split entry. There's like 8 of them, and they're all in the split entry. And I'm pretty sure they're panicking and trying to figure out what to do next. And then I just like this rage and this anger of like more so, I've never really said this before, so it was more so me that I put myself in that predicament for that to even happen. You know, I didn't see the signs, I didn't see the warnings, I didn't see any of it. I didn't see that was a possibility. Even though I'd been in most of my life in that lifestyle, I didn't see any of it coming, you know? And so I was more angry at the fact that they were doing that to me and I allowed it to even get that far. So then I just jumped down the stairs. Most of them scattered out the front door. The one runs downstairs, and the one that actually ends up shooting me, he runs downstairs, and I got friends down there that weren't a part of it, that were asleep. I had no idea it was coming, and I thought my girlfriend maybe ran downstairs at the time and trying to hide. So I'm like going in protection mode now. Now it's not just about fighting for my life, but it's about making sure everyone's safe. And I go down there and he's pointing it at me and I sliced him twice. I hit him in the head and the arm. And I think he's done for. Like I think he's laying on the ground or he's falling at the time, I believe. And I hear the front door open. So I'm like, oh no, that guy's coming in too. So I turn and he shoots me in my neck right here and then in my chest.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, and it was a hollow point 9 mil, went all the way across into my shoulder inside. I just remember going like, "You shot me from behind. Like like what the hell is going on?" And the adrenaline's still going. Obviously, blood is now dumping out of me, and then I see him run down the hallway, and he's pointing at me again. So then I'm like, "Well, I can't. I'm not just gonna let you shoot me like that. You're coming with me at this point. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna come with me. Like we're gonna die here." And so I rushed him, and then I couldn't move my arm, because the bullet was in my shoulder. So my arm kind of went limp. So I tackled him into the wall, and we fell through the wall. He's choking me at this point, and he doesn't realize, and I don't realize he's putting pressure on my neck. So he's actually, in a sense, saving my life at the same time. So
Yeah.
I'm still fighting back. I hit him with a couple punches. He kind of like he pulls his arm up, and I see the gun again. And the dog that we had comes out of the laundry room, bites his hand, and is dragging him now. So, like during that whole thing, the person that set me up comes out of the laundry room trying to get the dog off, gets the dog off, and then now me and this guy are both on the ground. I'm bleeding. You can tell it's everywhere. He's bleeding. And the thing that I think about is like at that time, if you didn't want that to happen, and you look down at us, and I'm supposed to be your friend, and you don't pick me up first? And he kind of gave me that look as he's picking him up, like, you ain't dead yet. Like, you ain't dead yet. So he gets up, they run out, I stand back up, I run out, and then at this point, like, okay, now I gotta get back in the house. It's done. Like, I gotta make sure nobody got hit with a bullet. I go back inside, and I'm like, is everybody all right? Everybody good? And then I'm calling for my girlfriend at the time, hoping she's still in the house, you know? And I'm like, call my dad. I didn't say call the cops. I don't know why, like, I just said call my dad because that's who I always believe that would save me, And I'm like, call my dad. And he's like, and so he's like, and she's like, comes down the stairs. She's already on the phone with the ambulance, all that jazz. And so now they tell me I gotta lay down. So I'm laying down. The ambulance comes super quick. The whole thing was like 3 minutes and 43 seconds from the first gunshots to the time the ambulance showed up.
Holy cow.
Yeah, so the whole incident seems like a lifetime, but it wasn't, It was a small, minuscule time. So I'm laying there, ambulance comes, they pick me up. I could feel the bullet in my back still. And the ambulance said, I reached down, I felt the bullet, and it was just lodged in between, like poking out and being in my back. So then they picked me up. I remember everything, getting in the ambulance. I was talking and everything. I get We get to the hospital. It was just like a movie. The hospital doors open up, sun's shining, and I passed out. Boom. And I woke up 14 days. I woke up 3 days maybe later, like actually coherent. Like, I woke up a few times, like shaking the bed, trying to like tell them what happened, and eventually they give me a chest tube. I'm pretty messed up, and
Yeah.
so like during all that whole 14 days, I'm on the trauma floor. I'm fighting for my life. I'm trying to get all the blood out of my lungs, and so I get out of the hospital and I get sober. And for about 6 months, I was good. I was good. Like, I was, at least what I thought at the time. Like, maybe I was drinking or smoking weed to kind of deal with the pain a little bit, but nothing extreme. Just trying to manage my pain,
Yeah.
because the oxycontins that they had me on were just wrecking me, like 240 milligrams a day. You know,
Jeez.
and so I got to like a month and a half in, and I said, I ain't taking these no more. So I drank and I smoked to try to ease the pain, and then finally, like, 6 months goes down. I try to get a job. I get a job at 7-Eleven, but I'm starting to hang around the same people because they start coming around asking how I'm doing, and my life's good. I got my kid. I got my my son's mom. We're together. I'm working. I'm fighting back. Everything was good, and obviously, like, my revenge set in. My justice. Nobody got arrested. Nobody went to jail. Like, they went to jail initially, but nobody got locked up for it. They dismissed it on a technicality because I harmed him first. He was able to shoot me. So, and I was in the right because he shot at me first. So it's a law in Utah that's needs to go away. Like, if somebody's shooting at you and then you harm them first, like physically,
Yeah.
like, that person should still go to jail for what they done,
Well,
because
to come into your home, right? To come into your home
yeah, whether
and
they're invited or not.
point guns at your face. I mean, what are you
Yeah.
supposed to do, right? You're gonna protect yourself and you're gonna protect your family.
Yeah, and I'm like, like, I didn't I didn't see why no, you couldn't get charged with something, firing a firearm in a residential area, anything. Like, yes, they were invited by the person that set me up, but the basis of that whole scenario is what caused me to self-sabotage for 5 years.
Yeah.
And I was blaming the system and the people and the this and the that, and then I went on a after getting clean for 6 months for meth. I start using again. Then I just disappear. I go into a dark place. I can't get it right. I can't. I don't want to get it right. I do, but I don't. I'm not ready. I'm getting locked up every couple months. And the crimes were serious every time, but for whatever reason during the COVID time, they were letting people out. So I had a bunch of felonies. They couldn't charge me because they're so backed up. So now they let me out on technicality. So I go back, start using, go back, start using, go back and start using. And then about 6 months before I got clean, my cousin dies of overdose. And
Mm.
that was the moment that I said, okay, like, you don't want to be that. You don't want that for yourself. So you need to start changing. So I started slowing down, but I was still using. I started slowing down. I started going, I don't want this anymore. I don't want this life. I don't want to end up like that. I don't want to end up in prison. I don't want to keep doing this. And I was slowly trying to slow down, and then luck have it, I'm out robbing and stealing like I was, and I get caught and I go to jail. And I've never seen this still to this day, and I've been in jail quite a many times. It's not bragging, it's not anything. It's to understand the level of how messed up it was. Like 81 charges, more than half are felonies, and I'm looking like, yo, I'm done. I'm going to prison, and for a long time. And the first day, I'm kind of like panicking. I'm just getting. Then the second day, I'm getting used to being in jail because I've been there so many times. I'm just getting in the routine. Oh, I'm gonna be here a while. And then the third day happens, and I just happen to walk by the books, see a Bible, and I'm like, oh, I got nothing else to do. So I start reading like I did every time I went to jail, asking for a prayer. And I didn't ask for a prayer this time. I just said, you know what? I know how to get out of this. I'm gonna manifest my way out of here. I'm gonna get on ankle monitoring. I'm gonna get in drug court. I'm gonna complete that, and then I'm gonna start my life and finish it and do it the way it was supposed to be done. And ever since that day, it's been nothing but change for me. Like, yeah, I had a slip up about a year and 3 months ago. I was on air duster, and my life went downhill in 4 days. And that was the moment too where I was like, you know what? Like, I can't do this by myself.
Yeah.
I can't. I can't. I can't. Like, I tried. I wasn't successful. I did a decent job, but I wasn't. I was ready. I just didn't have the tools. I didn't have the the support. I had support, but I didn't use it. And
Yeah.
so I didn't know how to use it because I was still fighting with being a man. Like, you just deal with it and move on, you know? And that's not the right way. It's not the right way. And so I get, they try to charge me with a DUI about a year and 3 months ago. I'm in drug court. I go, all right, okay. Like, this is another moment where it's like, that didn't work. Fix it. Like, go fix it. So I said, all right, I'm going to go to detox. I'm going to go to rehab and fix it. I never went to rehab before. I didn't really believe in them before, but I went to First Step, and that place saved me, man. Saved my life. Because one, I was ready. I was dedicated. I was determined from day one that I knew I couldn't do it alone. And I knew I didn't want to go back. And I knew if I just believed in the process that I would make it. And kept doing it. I'd go to every class. I'd get involved in this. I'd, talk to people. I would do what I could to get better every single moment that I was there because that was my chance. Because if I got kicked out of rehab for whatever reason, I'm going to prison for drug court. I'm going to prison.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, and I just, I was just like, I gotta fix it. I gotta change the things that I knew I wasn't doing. I wasn't reaching out. I wasn't staying connected. I wasn't doing anything that I should have been doing. Like I was sober, but I was that dry drunk. You know,
Yeah.
where you're not,
You were
you're not.
white knuckling it, right?
Yeah, I was white knuckling it every day, and so once I really got real with and honest with myself, that's when things changed because then I wasn't lying to myself. I wasn't telling myself I'm going to be okay. I was saying that I need to reach out. I need to communicate how I feel, and and ever since then I've been doing that. I'll tell somebody when I used to be quiet about. I used to not say shit. I mean, like
Yeah.
I wouldn't say a damn thing, and I would just keep going, and everyone around me would see me in a dark place and see me falling, but if you're not reaching out and you're not being receptive to that information, you're just gonna stay there, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I stayed there for a while, and the biggest thing for me that's changed everything out is that I've accepted everything that I've done, wrong, right, good, bad. You have to accept yourself, be honest with yourself, love yourself, create a routine, create a good energy around you, and notice your signs of when things are not going right up here. Recognize things, be aware. And I now that I do that, my life has changed for the better, and it's because I want it. I'm obsessed with getting better. Like,
Yeah.
and you have to be, because if you're not obsessed with trying to conquer those mountains, this growth isn't in a straight line. It's not. It's sometimes it's going to plateau for a while, sometimes it's going to dip, sometimes it's going to climb up. It's like a trail on a mountain. You're going to wind, you're going to bend, you're going to go down, you're going to go up.
Yeah. You're going to
And
climb over things, right?
yeah, you're going to climb over things, you're going to have things hit you, you're going to hurt yourself, you're going to
Yeah.
get back up. It's a constant thing of just do the next right thing, you know,
You
take
know,
the next step.
if I can pause you for a second, Jay,
Yeah,
you said some really key things for me anyway during your story. When you went to first steps, and you said that they saved you, you said something very key. You said you were ready, right? Because many people, my wife included, went to 8, 9 different recovery centers. On the first 3 or 4 that she went to, basically she was going because of me, right? Which was totally the wrong way of doing it, right?
yeah,
And
100%.
and I want our listeners to know, especially those who are on the other side, again, to realize how difficult this battle is, how difficult it is to conquer that mountain, to climb up, right? Because most of the time, from what I've understood, you're on one of those mountains with very soft soil, and you're going like crazy trying to climb up it, and you're not moving. Really, you're starting to go backwards because the dirt's so soft, you're not getting any ground to go unless you're ready. And correct me if I'm wrong, because I didn't go through any kind of recovery.
Yeah,
It's you have to be ready. You can go and think you're ready to go, right? And then you get in there, and if you're telling yourself within a week or a couple days or even 2 weeks, man, I don't need this anymore, you're not ready, right? Because if
yeah,
you are, you're gonna do whatever the hell they tell you to do, and you're gonna
yeah,
stick to the plan and go through it,
yeah. And you're gonna do it with a smile on your face,
no matter
because
how difficult it gets.
no matter what happens, like if you're doing this, you'll recognize. Like I've recognized it going to rehab, being sober, like all the way. Like you're gonna recognize who wants it, who doesn't, by the way that they talk, by the way that they complain, by the way that you can get upset about something, but you can't stay in that being upset for hours, minutes, days. Like you can be upset for a second, but figure out why you're upset. What's going on? Like, are you just mad because you're not ready and you know you're not and you don't want to be there and you're not willing to sacrifice what it takes to become the change, you know, like
Yeah.
become what you should have been before the drugs. You know what you should have been doing before then. Like, stop regretting, stop doing all these negative things, talking bad about yourself, this and that. Like, you can't do that anymore. Like, you can't, because no one will beat you up more than yourself.
Yeah.
And when that's the case, it's you versus you. It's not you versus the guy that went through rehab and didn't have a problem and was cool with everybody. It's not about that. It's not about who got a car, who got this, who got. It's not about that. It's about you being better than you were yesterday, being better than when you were an hour ago. It's about consistently trying to get better. And you can't get anywhere without that. And I've learned so much. Ryan Evans actually linked us up.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I I have so much love for that guy. It's not even funny. Like, I I of course I did the work, I did the steps, but having somebody like that in your corner and having some of the people like, Kylie from First Step and Dale from First Step, he passed away recent, but hell of a guy. And I got my parents, my family, my sober friends, my friends struggling that went back to rehab. All those guys, I just want to take this moment to say thank you.
Right.
Thank you. I wouldn't be here this gotten this way, this fast, this easy, so to speak, without them. Without them. So I want to say thank you, because I couldn't have pictured my life being like this a year ago.
Right.
So if I can,
And saying thank you, excuse me, I want to say thank you to Ryan Evans as well, because he was on our show. Awesome story, awesome journey that he's gone through. So Ryan, thank you very much for this connection. And with you saying thank you, Jay, you said something just a little bit ago about staying connected. And the how do they say it? Hopefully I'm saying it right. The opposite of addiction is connection, right?
yeah,
That connection really are in a way, God sending you the saviors that you need to help you along your journey, right? They're your
yeah,
angels. That's how I see it. You're an angel now, right? Because now you're helping people in their recovery journey. You had to go through everything you had to go through to understand and know what that other individual is going through because you lived it, right?
yeah,
And you have a trail, right? It took you some time, but
yeah,
but you paved a trail on that mountain, and now all you're doing is asking people, man, take my hand, I'll show you the path, right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
trust me in that, because you said it too a couple times. You can't do it alone. It's impossible.
You
It's in,
can't.
and the reason why I'm getting emotional is because somebody that I care about has been fighting for a long time and they have fallen off the path. And to me, it's because they're not staying connected. They're not staying the path, right? You get to a
Yeah,
certain point, I believe, right? And I've learned this too from guests like yourself. You get to a certain point where you think the path is paved for you, right? You got this,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
It doesn't
yeah,
matter whether it's a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. I know someone who relapsed after 5 years, right? After 5 years of sobriety, they relapsed. Now they got back on the horse real quick, thank goodness. However, it's it's something that's there to knock you off your horse any little chance that you give it. So if you're not working the program on a continuous basis, it's going to be hard, right?
yeah.
It's
It's
going to be
gonna be
difficult.
difficult. And another thing too is, like, I want to say, shout outs to Phoenix Rising, the Sober Living. That's where Ryan, manages that place. On my job, obviously, I want to say thank them and thank my boss Bree and and thank it, like everybody that's here that supports me, that's that understands my story and my struggle, and to an extent, like you can never fully understand anyone, I feel, but you can get on that same level and relate to certain things, and then that creates a connection. So I being that I'm so loud with recovery, that I'm so loud, I'm speaking for those people that don't have a voice, that don't believe in themselves, that don't want it, that want it, but aren't trying or can't do it or don't believe in themselves enough. Like, I am living proof that you will make it. Like, when I got shot and I started doing drugs again, there was a lot of trauma obviously involved in that, but it also made me who I am right now. Like, I accepted it. I knew I'm never gonna get justice for what happened. And I'm okay with it. Like, I'm okay with it because my justice is my peace, the way I'm trying to be peaceful, the way I'm trying to do this, way I'm trying to help people. I'm better than that situation. We're all better than addiction. We are. So, and we're all beautiful people. Once we get sober, if we become a beautiful soul and a beautiful human being, and a person that can understand someone's pain, whether they got mental health or this or that or depression, like, we can relate because we've all had it, you know. And my belief is you got to get out of the past. If you don't get out of the past, you'll never land in the future. You got to stay present, stay with your people, stay with the right people. If you're like, I have a thing too, like, people in addiction that I'm friends with, I will not go where they're at. Now, if they hit me up and they're saying they're struggling, they need my help or whatever, I'll say, well, I can do this for you. I'll meet you at a Applebee's or whatever, and we'll sit down, we'll eat, we'll laugh, we'll bullshit, but then I'm going home. Like, we're not gonna go hang out somewhere. We're not gonna do nothing. I don't, because there's some people that are family members, are, people that were there for us. Yes, we got to cut them off as far as we can't go hang out with them. We can't go do this. We can't do that unless they're sober. Fine, but we can still, like, I got family members that are, I got family members and friends that are in addiction. If they call me and say, like, hey man, I just want to see you, I want to check in on you. Well, let's go do some normal people stuff. And then I'll sit down, I'll talk to them, I'll do what I can to help, but I won't go anywhere else with them. I won't give myself that, because I feel like we we those people that may are on the fence about changing, we forget about them because we cut them off. You know,
Yeah.
we forget about everything that they done for us when we was down and out, and we cut them off. And then where's their support at? Like, let's try to, like, bridge the gap in a healthy way where we're not going to fall back from. I feel like that's important. I've had friends from rehab relapse, go back, and I once they start relapsing, I just shoot them a text and say, hey, like, pick it up, brother. You got this. Like, go back. You know what to do. You're starting from experience. After you relapse, you start from experience. So now you know what to do. Now you know how to get sober, and then
Yeah.
you can work on staying sober. So go. Like, I'm still gonna be there for you. I'm just not gonna show up where you're at. I'm not gonna come and pick you up from somewhere. I'm not gonna do any of that. So, and they know that. Don't ask.
And I'm so glad that you said this, Jay, because again, how I mentioned, I have someone that I care about that's going through that struggle right now, right? And it's so hard. So basically, I'm looking at it as you're on the other side, right? You're on the other side of the addiction now. That's
Yeah,
what's cool about the title of this show, because we're all wanting to get to that other side, right?
yeah,
And it's also the people who have been on the other side who aren't the addicts or the users,
yeah,
because we fall into the addiction as well. And
yeah,
it's so hard because what you were just saying, you have to stick to your boundaries, right?
yeah,
It's so hard because I'm getting the phone call, and here in the past 3, 4 days, I've been told how I don't give a shit, and
yeah,
I don't care what happens to them. That's not it. That's not true. That's the addict talking,
Yeah,
right? Because
yeah,
I don't want that in my life. And it breaks my heart. It breaks my freaking heart to have them say that, even though I know that's not true, right? Because
yeah,
I want to be there for them. And
yeah,
all I can do is go, look, you've done this. You can do
yeah,
it. Just come on, get yourself together, right? Because
yeah,
I don't know their struggles.
yeah,
And what's crazy is about 10 or 15 minutes ago, you said knowing the signs for yourself. Those of us on the other side can see those signs, right? I can start seeing when someone's behavior starts slowly going back to the past, what you just talked about. Get rid of that past, right? Where it
yeah,
slowly starts creeping in. That's
yeah,
what put them in that addiction in the first place, right? Is because of the trauma.
exactly.
I mean, you could sit and dwell on being shot, no justice happened. You can sit and dwell on the loss of your cousin because of the overdose. And you could use that for your power to go back into your addiction.
Yeah, and use it like that's the thing. No excuses, none. There is not for me, like me personally, there is not an excuse why I need to go back out and use. There will never be one. I've had in the last year, I've had best friend die. I've had my sponsor Dale got back in addiction, unfortunately, passed away. Like I've had hard times. Like I'm fighting for custody. I got custody of my son now, almost. I'm just waiting for the last, final papers. But I went out and I did that. After being on drugs for however many years, on and off for five, like I went and did that. It's the belief. You have to believe in yourself. You have to love yourself. You have to forgive yourself. You have to do those things. Like it don't matter if you're an addict or suffer from mental health or depression. If you're living in the past, you need to say, okay, those things happened, this happened to me. Like I've had trauma from childhood, obviously. That's what caused me to initially drink.
Yeah.
I had plenty of that. I lost a brother. And then what, really caused me to go hard in the paint on drinking, I lost my grandmother, who was my biggest fan. I loved her to death. I still do. And losing those things, those traumas, will you'll find a way that you can't, you shouldn't cope with. You shouldn't cope with drugs. You shouldn't cope with alcohol. You shouldn't do any of those things because they're not going to help you. They're going to help you for that moment, and even then, you're not going to be helped because you're going to be thinking about it. You're just now you're dwelling on it even worse, and you're drunk, and now maybe you do something stupid like
Yeah.
commit suicide or and not think you're worth it. Like you have to think you're worth. You have to know you're worth it, and I think you don't always need every person around you supporting you. You just need someone to believe in you sometimes more than you believe in yourself, and you will make it. And I've had that, thankfully. I know others don't, but I've had that a lot lately. But it's because I'm real with them too, like
Right.
I'm real with them. I'll call them if I'm having a bad day and I'll tell them exactly what it is. And then I'll snap out of it because they'll sympathize with me and all that. And I'll snap out of it fairly quickly, like losing my best friend while in rehab and having these passes to go out, which were great because it starts to intricate you back into being outside of the safe zone. So it's a great thing that First Step does that. I think it's awesome. They should always continue to do that. But it, I had the chance to go out and get high because I had the 4 hours, and I feel like First Step was right for me because they gave me that opportunity to hang myself if I wanted to. And it's good to have that because that's when you see how bad you want it. That's when you see who wants it, who doesn't, who's faking it, who's there to just stay out of jail. Like you get to see all that, and it weeds out a lot of people that don't want it. And then they could focus on the people that they do see want it. And they gave me meaning, purpose, and recovery from there. And I wouldn't have changed it for nothing, you know?
So basically, excuse me, they're handing you the ball and chain to connect to your ankle, right? You can choose
Yeah,
to clamp that around your ankle and carry it around, or you can choose to say, yeah, you know what? I think I'll just leave it behind for now, right?
yeah, yeah. I left that chain and ball in the VOA.
Yeah. You know, with what you've just been saying, Jay, and again, it's just all these thoughts are coming to mind because of things that I've been going through in the past week or so, and in my own personal life, and the person that I'm talking about, that's struggling right now. And you said it doesn't matter what happens in life, you're not going to go back there. You're not going to use that for your excuse, right? And that's one of the things that I'm scratching my head on with this individual, because it was having anxiety and not having the anxiety medicine to help get through to whatever they were going through, right? Whatever was causing it. And I scratch my head because when you go through recovery, whether it's a short time or many times, they are constantly putting tools in your pouch for you to use. They're putting a hammer, a screwdriver, vice grips, channel locks, a Phillips flathead screwdriver. I mean, they're giving you all these tools, right? So no matter what you come across, it's like I do home improvement on the side, right? While I'm building this thing up. When we don't have the right tools when we're doing a job, our job is extremely difficult. We're doing everything we can to try to pull wood out or knock a wall down or take sheetrock out. When you have the right tools, the freaking job is so much easier.
yeah,
So again, I scratch my head, and I've scratched my head for a lot of years with this, of that I can understand why some individuals, and again, I'm not in their shoes. I don't know what's going on in their life. I can't answer the question. That's why I'm asking so much. Why aren't you pulling out that hammer when you're trying to put a nail in a piece of wood instead of a damn screwdriver?
yeah,
You've got it right there. You have it. It's been given to you. You have people, because there's been things where I've gotten phone calls and they're talking to me, and I'm like, you know what? I can sit here and listen, and I can be the best support I possibly can. However, I've not walked in your shoes. Jay, I've not walked in your shoes.
yeah.
And I give you advice with something I know nothing about. However, I now have resources because of this podcast. Now I can say, hey, you know what? I'm the wrong person to talk to. That if you're looking for help, I'm not that person. However, I can get you connected with somebody that can help you.
And I think
So
that's my biggest thing about coming on here was like I know that you're connected because of what you're doing right now. Like, how could you not be? You know, like what you're doing right now for the people like I was and the people that may be listening, like you're doing one heck of a job. I haven't seen, there might be other podcasts, but I haven't heard of any, you know, and for you to take time out of your life and your thing to talk about addiction and to try to help somebody, that means a lot to somebody like me who's trying to do the same thing. And you're doing a heck of a job. And I see where you're coming from with the tool belt thing because, like, I had those tools last year before the air duster and all that. I had those tools. I just didn't know that you're afraid to use them because of maybe coming from a man or a woman, but definitely from a man, you're afraid to reach out and tell people how you're feeling because it wasn't acceptable for so long. For
yeah,
so long, it was like, "Oh, pull up your damn pants and quit crying." You know, like it was. Oh, you fell down, quit crying. But it's now we're starting to see like mental health for men and women, but men more so right now because I feel we are not we're not being we're not doing the things we should to communicate as human beings, you know, and we're not reaching out, we're not telling people, we're holding it in, and then we do something dumb and and we take our own life, and now we have affected everyone that really cared and loved about us. Like, we got to be smarter than what our generation before us was. We got to learn,
Yeah.
we got to accept, we got to do better. And the thing for me is like, I I used to, I'm great. I'm emotionally intelligent now. I can tell you, okay, this is how I'm feeling, and now I can tell you why I'm feeling that way. And so now I can tell you why I'm feeling that way. Sometimes I don't even need you to tell me that it's going to be better or anything like that. I'm already processing how to correct that problem, you know? So it's great to have what I have right now. And I'm saying that if you work hard enough and you try and you got to have discipline. That's the thing. Like, staying away from drugs is discipline based. Like, how disciplined are you? Like, are you doing the right things as far as doing your laundry, doing this, doing that, working out, being disciplined to not go, maybe you don't have a drug problem. Maybe you have a going out and drinking problem. Maybe you have a shopping problem or a gambling problem. Like, this goes across the board with addiction. It's not, like, addiction is not just drugs anymore. It could be shopping. It could be social media. It could be games. There's
Could
so
be
many.
work even, right? I know people who are
Yeah,
addicted to work. I used to be
yeah,
one of them.
yeah. Addicted to work, and addicted to money. And so, like, the thing is like, I want to, I don't need, I've never really been, I'm not the type that's going to need all the money in the world because it's not going to solve me being happy. Sure, you can have nice things and that's great. And I'm strived for them still to this day, but I want to be a good man and I want to be better than I was yesterday. I want to be as happy as I can be. I want to be at peace. Those are the things that, if you, I heard something the other day. Would you take $1 million to live for one day, or would you take, would you just keep your life, or would you take $1 million and die tomorrow, or would you keep your life? So now time isn't more important than money. And then it says, well, would you get $1 million and lose your family? Well, now your family is. And then you take your $1 million, would you, for if you had $1 million, but you can never be happy again. Now you want to be happy. Now you want to be peaceful. Money is at the very bottom. It's important because we have to have it to live, but the things that I want to be don't involve money. You know, they
Yeah.
don't involve I feel I'm successful not because I just beat addiction or am beating it right now. I'm successful because of the way I think, the way I talk, the way I handle people, the way I view things. Like, I'm successful in that aspect. And most people in their whole life, whether they've had addiction or not, will not get there. And I'm that person. Like, I care about everyone until they show me that I can't care as much. I'm still gonna care. I'm still gonna try. Like, if I see guys now from rehab that are struggling and they reach out and I help them to an extent with talking to them and telling them things. But I I I won't put as much effort in to somebody that I don't see as trying. If
Yeah.
I see him trying, I will do whatever I can. I'll wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, give you a ride home, whatever. Like, I will do whatever I can to help you if you show me that you're helping yourself. And that goes with every average day person. They see that it's a good person who's going to do that for you. And if you have that person, it's you can use me, just don't abuse me. And that's the thing about recovery too, is like, you can use me as your friend and a tool, but when you start abusing me, then I have to start stepping back you know and I
Amen.
think that, yeah, that's a boundary that we have to have in addiction, because we go to rehab, or we get sober with some people, and we invest so much time with them. We go hang out, we do all these things, and then they mess up, and then we don't realize it. We start trying to help them and trying to help them and trying to help them. And now we just put ourselves in a situation that we should have never been in, trying to help them. And I had that happen a lot last year before I went to rehab, where I cared about all these people because they were there when I was in my darkness. They were there for me at times, like, so I had a lot of love for them. So they would call me, I'd go hang out, and it would, and I was like, well, I'm strong. I'm not using. I can do this. And I would go there and I'd hang out and they'd all be using, or maybe they would put it away while I'm there. But I'd been there when I was using before. So there's triggers, there's trauma, there's this. And I was putting myself in those situations. And eventually I ran into somebody that was using air duster and I could use it in drug court and I could get away with it. And so like I just natural addict and not paying attention to things that I should have been. I was just like going all out for it, and it it's a blessing now, but it was a curse then. You
Yeah.
know, it's a blessing now. My life, I don't look at things as as a negative thing anymore. Maybe of course it's gonna hurt. It's gonna not feel great. It's gonna be so many things. But when I look at it, I go, that's a lesson or a blessing, or I try to find, it sounds weird, but I try to find the funny in the negative. I try to make it funny. That's how I got over being shot and the way it happened, is I found one or two things that were funny about it, or I made them funny. And then it made it just take the edge off of it. And then when I took the edge off of it, I could deal with it a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. Like I feel like connection, love, and laughter will get you through the past. It will. Like, if you can find something funny or laugh about, or find somebody with my sense of humor, even that can turn a negative and funny, then you'll be all right. Like
Yeah.
you'll be all right. And my, like the message for me is just like, I didn't have a straight line. It's been up, down. I fell down. I I wrecked everything and that I worked for, but I stood back up. I stood up the moment that I got home from the jail or the holding cell. My dad's asking me, questions. He's pissed. He's furious, and he asked me a question that I think and for people, don't take this wrong. It wasn't when he asked me if I was gonna wanted to drink then. It was for, I believe, for him to gauge where I was at and how bad I wanted to pick myself back up. Because at that point, like I'm going to detox or I'm going to jail. So I can do whatever the heck I want to do. I'm going one of those two places. This is the time where in drug court, I'm not going to get in trouble for anything that happens right here. Like, what are you? And for me, I was like, no, I've done enough. I've done enough damage today. In one day, I've done enough. And I think that helped him, and it showed him that, okay, like I realized I messed up. I fucked up bad.
Yeah.
And that was a beautiful thing for me, because that showed me right there from that moment too, like, okay, I realized what I did. What are you gonna do about it? Like that's the thing about relapse too. Okay, it happened. What are you gonna do about it? Are you gonna keep going? Play, like Ryan told me this, play that tape all the way through. Don't just play the preview. Don't just play what doing this and getting high and all that. Don't play that short little movie, because everybody loves a preview until you watch a movie and it sucks. You know?
Well put. I love that analogy. I like it.
Yeah, like like it's one of those things. Like the tools that I would say use, play that tape all the way through, not just what you're gonna how when you're gonna get high, where you're gonna live after, if you're in a sober living, if you're with your family and they find out and they kick you out, what are you gonna do? Where are you gonna score this? Where are you gonna get your money from? Where is this?
Yeah,
Like
right.
play play it all the way through. Where are you gonna end up? Do you wanna be there? Like, and you can do that with your goals and your dreams too. Like you can do that with yourself too, like in a positive way. Like when I look at my goals, I don't just go, I want a house, a car, a girl, and have my son with me, and a nice this and a nice. No, I go, I want a house with a red door. I want a house.
Oh yeah,
I want a
define
house
it. Yeah.
defining the goal, defining, all of it. And that's a way that you can manage. And I say small victories, will create bigger goals. And the journey is so much better than the reward 90% of the time. Like
Well,
like
don't they say that in rehab, Jay? I mean, really, it's
yeah,
it's it's not about the process, it's about the journey,
yeah,
right?
it it's not about the outcome. It's for me like it was great graduating drug court, and it felt great, but that whole journey was way better than that one moment.
Yeah.
It was way better. Of course, I felt amazing and all that. And then recently with my son, I struggled. I'm not gonna lie, I struggled going through this court process because it's a long process. It's strenuous. You start going into those negative thoughts like I should have been there. I shouldn't have put myself here. But then I switched it and I said, you know what? Like I'm worth it. I'm worth it to my son. I'm going to switch I can be better. I'm going to switch every negative thought I had a switch for to turn it positively. Like I did some beating myself up about it. But then once you realize that you put yourself there, you stop blaming everyone and you start looking at the things that put you there. And then when you start doing that, then you can eliminate what put you
Yeah, right.
there. And
Yeah.
that's a tool that I have now is I take accountability, be honest, and I look at, okay, I did this, this, and this. Well, how did I do those things? What caused them? I analyze it in a good way. Like I'm an overthinker, so that's always been a problem. But because I overthink, I try to manage that in the right way. I will not try to sit in that overthinking brain for very long, you know, because it's a danger zone for me. So
It's a
uh,
cesspool,
yeah, and it just keeps spinning. That thing keeps spinning and
right?
spinning. You'll go to bed with your head spinning, wake up with it spinning.
Yeah.
Like it's a bad thing, So I what the thing that I've started to do recently is obviously I pray every day for the last little bit. I pray every day, and when I'm having those overwhelming things, I try to pray or I try to do some breathing, something like that. Or if I'm at home and that happens, I'll go hit the weights. I'll go
Yeah.
do push-ups. All those are things that you can do positively. Or I'll sit there and talk with my family about what I'm feeling or thinking, or my friends or my coworkers, or like it's so much. It doesn't. It seems like so much to somebody that doesn't understand it because they're still in addiction right now. But it's that simple. Everything that clicked for me was realizing it really is that simple. The hard part is getting to understand that it is that simple.
Well put. Well put. I mean, but it's so true. I've heard other
Yeah.
guests say that, right? Because again, they think it's something so difficult, and really it isn't. And we're the ones that make it difficult. And it's just not with recovery, it's with so many other things in life,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
that fear factor, right?
Yeah.
It's that fear of, can I do it? Oh, I don't think I can. And I'm a huge believer, and just getting to know you a lot more, Jay, I'm thinking you may believe this same way, is if you've got that fear coming to you and it's popping in your head, that's your sign to do it. That's
Yeah.
not your sign not to do it. That's your sign to do it, because the way I see it, it's the opposition keeping you from making something better of yourself.
Yeah.
That's why you get that thought, right? Because
Yeah.
because God wants you to, he wants you to go after whatever it is you want to go after, because he wants you to be happy. But if you're scared to death, and fear is the devil's greatest ally,
Oh,
right? I
it is.
mean, he'll throw
It
the
is.
fear at you left and right, and that's what keeps a lot of addicts in their
Addiction.
addiction, right? Again, no matter what addiction it is, it all works the
Yeah.
same, just not
Yeah.
drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it, man. Go after it. And something you said a little bit ago too that I want to touch base on is our emotions. Suicide rate has gone up for men from age 18 to 55. And it's because we a lot of us have been brought up the old fashioned way, just like what you said, right? If you don't stop crying, I'll give you something to cry about. Well, you want me to stop crying, but yet you're going to give me something to cry about. I still do not understand how that freaking makes
Yeah.
sense. I just don't get it. We're not allowed to show our emotions, right? And that's what's wrong. I used to attend a men's group, and I tell you what, I have never been in a room full of men my whole life that I watched break away in groups, and I watched every single freaking man in that room crying.
Yeah. It's,
Now, if someone else walked in who had that mindset, oh, look at this room full of freaking pussies, right? Full of
yeah.
babies. Well, damn it. God gave us the emotions just like he gave everyone else the emotions, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We we're
Everyone.
allowed to feel these emotions. We're allowed to show these emotions. We're not Our bodies are not fit. They cannot handle keeping that crap in. We have to let them out.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like, I held a lot of emotions in last year, a lot. I held in, yes, me and my son's mom were together at the time. We weren't living together. I was seeing them when she could, at the time, for the first while, she couldn't tell her parents about it. And I was mad because I'm like, if I'm doing this and I'm trying and I'm work, you should tell your parents, stop lying to them. You're creating a cycle that I don't like to live in anymore. You're creating something I don't want for our child to learn that it's okay to lie and this and that. Like I don't want any of that. So I was dealing with that and I was dealing with the own self-doubt, the own this when things were good for me last year, really were. Like for the most part, like my family was supportive. They were proud of me and all that. And I had the job at Kennecott. I was working. I had everything going for me. And that's my thing is like I self-sabotaged myself and was building a good life. And it was just that doubt, that fear, that the past, everything, every negative thing you could think of, I allowed to break me then.
Yeah.
I did that. I allowed that to happen to me. I'm not blaming anyone. Like I could sit there and blame her for not moving in with me and not living with me. And I could sit there and blame her all day long. That isn't going to get me anywhere. That isn't going to get me anywhere. Like I did everything I've done and I've accepted. Whether they said something to me or whatever happened, or family members, friends dying, like life happens for you. It really does. We don't understand it when it's a hard, close thing. It's a hard thing to deal with, and it's a hard it's a hard thing to deal with those things. But the thing that kind of got me through is when I was 19, my best friend got shot in the neck and in the chest, and he died.
Wow.
And the thing about that I viewed it as is we lived in a hard neighborhood, gangs, violence, shootings. The thing that I gravitated is he was trying to do right like I did. I graduated, he was trying to do right, and he died in the process. And so when that happened, everybody that was around us started going to school, started graduating, started moving on with their lives, like took it upon themselves to take on his mission. So that was the beauty in the tragedy, like those things happen. Like the beauty of my tragedy is now, like I didn't allow that to kill me, like I didn't allow it. Sure, I allowed it to knock me down and keep me down for a while and deal with a lot of trauma and PTSD and depression. But then a point comes where you're like, are you sick of it yet?
Right.
If you're sick of it, like, imagine. So that happens to me. I'm on drugs, I get shot, and I think about this a lot. And I eventually went right back to the drug. If me, I was probably pronounced dead on the table or flatlined. I don't know. I've never asked, but I'm assuming it was that bad. I was in the ICU. It was probably that bad.
Yeah.
And so I look at it and I was like, if that one thing didn't stop me from doing drugs, nothing else would. And so like maybe that's what scares my family now too. Sometimes people around me that know that situation is like that didn't stop him. That didn't get him to change it and switch his life and do that. So maybe they wonder what caused that now. And people ask me that question, well, what caused you to change? I just got tired of living like that. I knew that I was better than that, and I believed it. And I eventually, when I got caught up, I went after it. And it's that belief, it's that not quitting when it gets hard. It's that there's so many things that like now Ryan told me like this is when I was in sober living months ago. But he told me you got that dog in you, you know, and I do. I have that. Like nothing is going to stop me from what I need to do. Like nobody's going to break this person anymore. Like you have to make a promise to yourself and then go get what you need to go get. You need to climb. You need to recover, start, climb, and conquer. That's what you need to do. You know, that's what you need to do. And just because you get to that one mountaintop, if you look around, there's other mountains that you got to climb. There's other things you got to do. Recovery is just a huge mountain that you got to get to. And then you start conquering other mountains. You know, you start conquering the house you want, the life you want, the job you want, the people you want around you, and go get it. Like once you get to where I'm at, you're gonna start seeing that you want that over there, you want that over there, you want this, you want that for yourself, and you go climb down that valley and go up there and climb that mountain too.
Yeah.
So it just because I got to this mountain doesn't mean I'm over yet, and this is the start of my new mountain on here with you. Is I got another mountain to conquer. So it's that's the thing is like this one mountain's hard to conquer, but once you get on top of it, now you can see a higher peak, and you go after that, and you go get that, and you go get the next one, and the next one, and the next one. So it just don't. It just I don't stop trying to get better. You know.
Yeah. Well, and it becomes a little bit easier, right? So I love to hike,
Yeah.
and I usually at the beginning of every year I hit Lower Bell Falls, Little Cottonwood Canyon, and it's a fairly easy hike up until about the last 0.9 miles, right?
Yeah.
And it gets really, really steep, and you're climbing over rocks or you're stepping up really high on rocks. It gets fairly steep. And I like doing that hike at least 2 or 3 times before I actually go after one of the longer ones. And
Yeah.
the reason for is it starts getting me acclimated, right? My
Yeah.
lungs start getting used to, even though I go to the gym and work out and do cardio, it starts helping me with the thinner air, even though it's not really high up there. It starts
Yeah.
helping my legs getting a little bit better shape to where, I can do the stairs at the gym, but that's not like stepping up on top of rocks and stepping yourself up, right? So it starts making those longer journeys a little easier.
Yeah.
Why I don't go hit an 8 mile hike right off the bat, because I know I'm not ready for it, because I've
Yeah.
done nothing all winter except go to the gym.
Yeah.
So I love that you said that, recover, climb, and conquer. And we're going to continue, like you said, you go to any mountain, those who love mountains or like hunting or whatever, you're always going to be going up and down, up and down. That's exactly what life is. Up and down, up and down,
Yeah.
up and down. So do you get tired and stay down in the valley and wish you could get out of it? The only way out of it is to climb your ass out of it, right?
Yeah.
And
Only.
believe. Yeah,
Yeah. It's the only way I can say like being that I was going through this custody thing and it was fairly easy. Like she's obviously on, lost and on drugs or something. I don't know because I don't know where she's at, but I know
yeah,
she's
yeah,
definitely lost. Um, so it was a fairly easy thing to do. I didn't have her fighting back, but it was hard because I had to keep I had to stay on the ball. I had to, even when like the court was like, you got to wait this time, you got to wait for this long, you got to wait for this, you got to wait for the judge to sign this. And I was just like, why do I have to wait if she's not even fighting back, you know? But it's now I'm been looking back since it's over with now, and I've been looking back on a lot of those things. And I had support from obviously my dad, you know, and my mom's and and my brother and Bree from my work and people from my work and Carly and Ryan and Zach. I mean, I could go down the list of people that have been there for me and been supportive and all that. And I could keep going. I can go on all day, but it's because like they see somebody that not only is trying but they're doing. They're out there getting it done every step, every day, all the time. Like I I pride myself now on not lying, not following through with what I said I was going to do, doing this, doing that. Like it has to, yes, you have to have some sort of routine. Yes, you do. But there's a lot of times where that routine gets jacked up, you know, and so you got to prepare for that too. So it's it's more of like this is a grind, and I love the grind. I love the grind when I was on drugs, so I should love the grind now,
Right.
you know.
Well, and this is a
So
healthier grind too.
yeah, it's so much better. Like I went out to dinner the other night, and I was talking to them, and I just said, you know, like this right here is so much better than any other day that you could ever think of being on drugs. Like whether you got all the drugs and the money and all the friends at it, this beats it every time. And we were just at Applebee's, you know, like we were just chilling, and
Yeah, right.
it just beats it every time. And it's not even a contest. So it's something like once you get to that point where you start enjoying your life, yes, it's gonna be grind. Yes, there's gonna have hard times, but unfortunately, everyone's life is like that. Some have it easier than others, some don't. But
Yeah,
I'm one of those people that if I believe obviously in a higher power and God and the devil, and I think the devil messes with you so much because he knows he believes in you more than you do, and you don't even realize it.
right. And he knows all your weaknesses too, right?
Yeah, so if he's coming at you that hard, then there's a reason for it because he knows you're going to be that great if you just stand up and fight.
Yeah,
And like he knows that more than you do because he would just leave you alone. When I was on drugs messing up, sure there was bad things that happened here and there, but he'd leave me in the he
yeah,
I wouldn't have nothing. He wouldn't, you know, it wasn't a daily routine like it is now where a daily thing. He's trying so hard right now because he sees, oh damn, he's become what I always feared that he was gonna become.
yeah,
And it's a faith in a higher power for sure because I couldn't have gotten here without it. Like there's things that with science and all that, and I believe in all the science and all that, but there's things that you cannot explain. Like we know the recipe to water, but we can't make it, you know, like so that tells you right there that there's something higher than us.
right.
There's something higher than us. So I believe in something, whether it's, you know, like whether it's God for me or other people believe in the universe and how it works and all that, but you have to believe in something bigger than yourself so that way you can get to that point. Like I chase being, I don't know, more godlike, so to speak. You know, I chase that. And most people are like, oh, I'll never get there, I'll never nothing. But I chase that impossible stuff because nobody else is, you know, like
Right.
so even if I don't get there, I'll get somewhere.
Well,
Somewhere.
you're still making the journey, right? You're still, let's say this, you're still picking flowers along the way because there are flowers there, right? You're going somewhere. It's not a waste of time. It's not a wasted journey,
Yeah.
no matter how small.
Yeah. No matter how small the journey is, no matter how small the goal is, do those conquering those little things are gonna help you. Like for instance, what helps me go on my day-to-day things is I'll go, for instance, I'll be like, I gotta call my insurance company. Well, I'll make that a thing that helps me feel better, you know, like
Yeah.
I handled something. Even if I'm depressed or going through it that day, like it could be something simple as calling somebody or, oh, I gotta, go do my oil change. This is what people can do if they're depressed. If they're depressed, they can set these little things that seem everyday life, those handle those. Handle one thing a day or five things or however many things you want to get done in one day you can do it. But definitely just one thing at a time, one thing at a time. Because we cannot prioritize things like that. Like if the thing that I say to people in early recovery, don't overwhelm yourself like that.
Right.
Handle one thing at a time. If you're overwhelmed, do the next right thing. Take the next right step. Make the next right phone call. Like do those things the smart way because we know as addicts and as people that have suffered, we know exactly we like to go to that comfort zone. And for me, that place is so uncomfortable. I wouldn't even know what to do, where to get it from, how to do it. And I don't have any ambition to do it at all. But I I know what that life is can provide for me, and I don't want any part of it. I don't want nothing to do with it. And so this life that I'm living now, there's uncomfortable, there's fear, there's I don't know if I could do this. There's a bunch of that. There's a bunch of those things, and it's now that I know if I do something and it's uncomfortable and I have fear in it, it's probably a damn good thing because all my comfort zones are being locked up on drugs, partying. Like those are all the comfort zones that I have, you know? So I get out of my comfort zone. I go and talk at meetings and I go, talk to people that are in recovery. I meet people in recovery almost on a daily basis. It's
Yeah.
weird. It's not weird. It's beautiful to see like when I'm open with it, how many other people that are around me that I didn't know that are. So it's like be vocal. Like the society has downed us a lot as far as like being an addict or like with jobs, being on, having a background. That's one of the killers of people like me is like, oh, I don't have one now because thankfully drug court wiped it out and all that stuff, but I was lucky. But others aren't. Others went to prison, came out doing good and doing all the right things, but their record holds them back. And it's like that was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even if it was a year ago, that person's better than that. Like quit shutting the door on them. Give them a chance, like
Yeah.
give them a chance to show you. And that's why I kind of like love my job so much is they gave me a chance and I was in drug court and I was in all that other stuff and I was having to leave work all the time for the drug court and they gave me a chance. So that's why I love it so much is because they didn't shut the door on me. They gave me a chance. And giving somebody a chance could be everything for them. So
Oh my gosh. Well, it could save their life as well, right? Because
yeah,
I watched my wife go through that too, um, being trained and being certified as a peer support specialist and then going out and trying to find a job and not even be able to find a job as a peer support specialist because of her background, right? Because of her
yeah,
record. So
yeah,
I was watching her get very frustrated. And now I realize how broken our system is because we are the only country that I know of, and I haven't done deep research, but we are the only country that I know of that once you do your crime and you do your time, that crime still
yeah,
hangs over your head. In other countries, once you do what you're supposed to do, it wipes off your slate, but not here in the
yeah,
United States, right? And
yeah,
it's because and this is my belief, it's because it's a business, it's a moneymaker. The longer
yeah,
they keep you in the system, the more money that they make. So why would they want it? So what we want to do is we want to get the addicts and alcoholics off the streets, and we want them to get their life on track. However, when they start working to get their life on track, no one gives them that opportunity. Where are they going to go? They're going to go right back to what they were comfortable with. So basically, it's that revolving door. Why the hell don't we have a door you can walk in and you can freaking stay there if you choose to stay there, right? And make
Yeah,
something of yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's huge. It's
It's,
huge. Like I I also look at too when you mentioned the opening of the doors, and sometimes we have three doors, right? We have the door that you got to physically walk up, open, either kick in or however you got to do it, and you got to walk through that door. Then you have that door which is revolving. So you go through that door and you can come right back out. And that's addiction, that's overthinking, that's depression, that's all of those bad negative things. And then you got that door that your higher power just it's already open. But you don't see it because you're looking at these two doors.
yeah.
You're not looking around for another door because you're trying to get through this door that maybe it's just not your time, maybe it's just not it, maybe it's something that you aren't supposed to do, like, so don't get down on, I tell people all the time, don't get down on yourself because you tried to open a door and it wouldn't open and you couldn't get through, or you opened it and you seen it and it wasn't what you thought. Look for another door, like that third door where you just got to walk through that thing. It's open, it's staring you right in the face. Like that was my thing for this podcast too, was like that door was always open, and I just wanted to fix, my drug court thing. I wanted to go after my goal with my kid and work on those things so that way I could come with a better spirit and all that. And that door was always that door was always open. So when I hit you up, you were just like, yeah, man, well, let's do it, blah blah blah. And then well, like you'd emailed me and was like, yeah, for sure we can do that. Let me look at the schedule. And then when I got your number and I called and texted, you were like, you know what, like, is somebody, canceled on Thursday? And I was like, that door is wide open. I gotta walk through
Yep. Well, it was
that.
it was meant to be, right? Because I had a doctor from back east that talks about mental health, trauma, and addiction. And she's a very well-known doctor. And I was really excited to have her come on, right? And then I get an email and she goes, Al, I'm really, really sorry, but there's been some crazy stuff happen and I need to reschedule. I want to come on your show. We're just gonna have to reschedule. The old me, I would have been very upset about it, right? However,
Yeah,
I'm just going, okay, well, it is what it is.
yeah,
It's however, and then again, there are no coincidences. Next thing I know, you're reaching out to me, and it's like I think I even told you in the email. Well,
yeah,
I just had a spot open up,
yeah,
so can we get you on
yeah,
next week? And here you are, so
yeah,
it's crazy. Gosh, Jay, we have been going over an hour. I think we've into it about an hour and a half already. This has been
yeah,
such an amazing conversation. What a great show.
yeah.
Um, I know you've already touched on both of these throughout the show. However, just in case our listeners missed it, what do you hope our listeners will gain from this show?
I really hope they gain, something, one thing, two things, maybe a collective, like gain something to help them through their next right step, their next right move, the day, the minute, the hour, like that's why I want to help someone, and I feel like we have, and it's beautiful. I'm so happy I've done it, and so that's my thing, is gain something, grab something, one thing. Like if you learn one thing a day, by the time a year ends up happening, you've learned a lot. So just gain one thing. That's all I ask.
I love it. What about the main message? And you mentioned it quite a few times about conquering the mountain.
Yeah, my main message is conquer the mountain. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough. There's going to be obstacles. You're going to fall down. You're going to go up. You're going to go down. This growth is never in a straight line as a person. You're not going to just one day wake up and everything's better. It, this it's not going to take forever either. It's not. That's the thing about it. If you take the steps, one day you'll look up. I do it now. In the last year, 2 years, I look up and go, holy, like
Yeah.
how did it happen? Like how did I become this person? And there's so many things that have happened to make me that way. So just conquer those mountains, like whatever it is. I don't care if it is addiction, if you don't have it, if you have depression, there's ways. Pills aren't the answer. Some people have to have them, but for the most part, I don't believe in antidepressants. I don't believe in anti-anxiety. I don't believe in those types of things because there's ways to manage it. And so just conquer those mountains and you'll find out a different path, a different way. Use your tool belt.
I love it. Jay, thank you so much. Thank you for being so vulnerable, opening up, sharing a part of your life that really was a negative part of your life that you've turned around and turned it into a positive. You even mentioned that in the show. What may seem bleak right now actually ends up turning into blessings, and we never know why. Sometimes we'll find out fairly quickly, and other times it may take months, if not years, before we finally figure out why something happened to us. So again, thank you for doing what you are doing in the recovery community, for all the lives that you are making a difference in and saving. So I'm so grateful that we were able to get you on the show. And again, Ryan Evans, thank you so much for introducing us, man. And you're part of the family now, Jay. This family just keeps growing and growing and growing.
Yeah.
And I love being a part of this, and I love meeting all the amazing individuals like yourself, on a weekly basis. And I'm just so, where I get emotional, I'm so blessed to be a part of the recovery community and doing everything I can to keep myself getting out there and meeting more individuals like yourself, because it's people like you, Jay, and Ryan, and so many others who I want to hang with, right? Because I get to learn from you as well. I get to learn a lot of amazing things and how life needs to be looked at. And I'm hoping that through this show and through this platform, we can lead people to that door that's already open and has all the light, right? Because we get to share the story. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here with us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Al. Thank you so much, Ryan. Thank my dad, my family, my brother, my mom. Um, thank Bree. Thank my job. Thank Kylie from First Step. Thank Dale, even though he's gone. Thank everybody that's been a part of this. I love y'all, and let's just keep this train going.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you, God, also for allowing all of us to meet and be a part of all this. So, guys, thank you to all our sponsors, man, and all our listeners, all our guests. None of this would be possible if it wasn't for you guys. I shared, I think, in a show yesterday, or I don't know, a week ago, that the only reason why this show continues to go is because of all you guys. This is just a platform. It's your stories that's making a difference. And I'm just so grateful and blessed for all of you. We're going to leave you with this, as we do at the end of every, oh gosh, before I sign off, I want to throw out there, guys, mark your calendars. And I mean, seriously, mark your calendars for Saturday, October 7th at the Miller Free Enterprise. We are going to be holding our third Healing Utah Success Summit. We've got 4 speakers that are going to be coming out and talking. All that's going to revolve around inspiration, recovery, addiction. The response we got from our second one on April 15th, man, we are just so blessed and so grateful to be able to put this event on. And we've got some really, really good things happening from now until then. We are going to fill the auditorium. I guarantee we will fill the auditorium. That's a big word, I know, guarantee. But I really do believe, however, I really do believe it's going to happen. So again, October 7th at the Miller Free Enterprise Building in Sandy. And you guys will be seeing a lot of stuff coming up here. Our website and everything's almost done. You'll be seeing a lot of stuff coming up here shortly where you can get in and get your tickets. So guys, remember this: addiction is giving up everything for one thing, and recovery is giving up one thing for everything. We're out.